What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about US dollar Tether. Specifically, we're going to be analyzing the US dollar Tether market cap chart, the price chart here. And it's not a whole lot to go off of, but there are some behavioral tendencies that we acquire with the USDT chart in peak bull cycle that I want to go over now. And I think with last month, with November and December, these past 2 months, I think we're getting a signal, a very powerful signal. In fact, it might be the most powerful signal that you could get from this chart. It's happening right now. It's beginning right now. So if that sounds good to you, hit the like button, subscribe if you want to see more, and just let's get through this video, guys. It shouldn't take too long, okay? I want to, first and foremost, just look at this chart overall, and you can see US dollar Tether came about in 2015, and it's been on a steady rise and increase in use case ever since. I know that there's the whole prohibition on USDT in the EU right now. If anybody wants my thoughts on that or my opinions on that, I'm just going to say I'm probably not qualified to give that answer. I'm a chart monkey. I do chart stuff. I'm not here for the fundamentals. I'm not the best at predicting the future outside of charts. I'm barely good enough at it at charts as it is myself, right? But if I had to really guess, I would assume that the USDT ban in the EU, if they can actually ban it, right? Like, you can't actually ban it. It's crypto. You can't actually ban it, right? They banned Bitcoin from the Canadian truckers in Canada last cycle, and people were still getting Bitcoin. You can't ban it, man. You ban something, it only makes it more valuable. But with USDT, it's only going to ever be worth $1. My whole point that I'm trying to say before we get started here is I don't think it's that big of a deal. And I would even expect, I'm predicting right now, the EU, if not the whole entire thing, parts of it, will regulate the USDT back into existence for them, back into being used. So I don't think it's permanent. I think it's just a thing. It's just like whenever China bans Bitcoin. There, you know they're gonna not ban Bitcoin. Every time you hear them say we're banning Bitcoin, all that means is great. Now we have a bullish story months to come in the months later where they will unban Bitcoin. Anytime you hear that they're going to unban Bitcoin, you're like, damn it. That means in the months to come they're going to ban it again. It'll be a time to sell. But I'm getting beside myself. Let's get into this video and give you what you're actually here for, right? So let's compare this to Bitcoin, BTC USD, on the all-time history chart that we got here. And I don't think we need to look at it on a price perspective as far as like candlesticks go. We can just look at it on a line chart, right? So what I want to do, first off, is I want to get them both on here. Come on, there we go. Okay. So we can identify that the bull market for Bitcoin here in 2015, it started already, but really I think, and maybe this would be best if I actually move this away from the USDT chart. You can see that we really started to kick things off here, right? Like, we were moving up at a nice pace, but when did this curve like really get at a heightened angle? It was like somewhere in this area here, I think, right? So I want to put a vertical line, maybe like right here, maybe like right here, maybe right there, sure. Right at kind of the central point where it starts to turn up again. Okay, you start moving up here, and that's fun, but you really start getting going like right here, right? Basically right there. One could argue over here when the COVID crash happened, whatever. I guess by the way of the line chart, it does look like you started getting things going here from this low. You really kick things off here, and that might be worth mentioning too, but I've got a point, I promise, okay? And then here with Bitcoin, with this bull market, you kick things off here, sure, but we're not measuring where the bull market started, right? We're measuring where did it pick up a faster pace than what it had been seeing most of the bull market, right? And that to me, I don't really know if that's happened yet. We seem to be on par with the same pace. We might be getting it now. Maybe it did just happen with this breakout recently that we had for 7 months. Maybe it did just happen, but that's speculative, okay? So we're going to go back in time and see if we can speculate a little bit more on what's going on now, okay? And I promise you I have a point. Stick with it. We've compared Bitcoin here, okay? We've done that. Now we're going to look at the USDT chart, okay? So the USDT chart, if you notice where this white line starts, comparing it to what happened before the line versus after the line, I would say that USDT was growing at a steady rate, and then it was growing at a much more rapid rate. You can see how much more dense and thick and big these candles are to the upside. And we went on a straight spree. And that whole time that we went on a straight spree was basically until the end of the bull cycle. In fact, it was 1 month after Bitcoin topped. 1 month after Bitcoin topped and USDT was still gaining value. Where did all that value go? It went into altcoins. And that's why if you look in the 2017 cycle, you'll see that Bitcoin topped in 2017 at the end of December, but altcoins, the average altcoin, if not all of them, topped in January, even February, that following year, the following month and a half afterwards. So here it is, make no mistake, USDT, it stopped seeing this kind of hastened pace of growth right here in January, which was 1 month after Bitcoin topped, but that was basically the end of the crypto cycle there. Okay, that was that. So in a sense, without the Bitcoin chart, if you're just looking at this for what it is, you get this rapid growth in USDT, that would have been the end of the crypto cycle. You can see it. You can kind of see it. And obviously you can't see it because we don't have the rest of the crypto charts on there, but just associating this lack of growth with the end of the cycle, I think that's essentially what we're saying. Why is it being weird? Why can't I get you back on here, Bitcoin? What's going on? Will it not let me? Let's see, hold on. Why can't I? It won't pull it back on. That's so weird. Okay, that's okay. Whatever. We'll just compare it again, but I want to delete all these squiggly lines without deleting the vertical lines, okay? But there, right? Dots connected a little bit. You probably can guess where I'm going to go with the rest of this video from here. BTC USD. Okay. Bring that back, logarithmicize it. Okay, here we go. We're back, okay. So now we go to the next cycle. Again, looking at Bitcoin here, I would say that it really started getting going here. One could make the argument that it even started here on that line. Maybe it did. You know, one could make that argument as well, but somewhere around here. We look at USDT and we can see, that's not the USDT, I'm sorry. USDT, and we can see that before this white line, the first white line, I'll delete this and then I'll bring it back if we need it. Before this white line, where we had the COVID crash, right, and Bitcoin started to pick up at a faster pace than what we had seen really for the most of the cycle so far. This was a pretty fast pace, but this is faster. I would say this is faster overall. I mean, if we draw a line from low to high, we do that, and we draw a line from low to high here. I mean, I don't know, maybe that's not the best. maybe that's not the best pace. To be completely fair, actually looking at this is at a faster pace than this is, to be completely fair, this right here. But nonetheless, to me, it just seems to be that point. Maybe I shouldn't say it's moving at a faster pace, but that point in the cycle where it's that second half of the cycle and the pace does pick up, right? This might be an odd one out. I'm getting caught up on the words. And even then, even still, right, during this, which actually is a pretty fast rate of growth, I must say, we saw a pretty fast rate of growth in the USDT as well, right? And then during this consolidation, not a lot of growth in USDT. Then once the growth picked up again, once we got that on a more steady basis, that's whenever we started moving up again, right? All at the same time here, where when we were boring, we were at the low points, and then once we finally moved up, that's whenever BTC moved up as well. Okay? But again, the majority of this Bitcoin bull cycle happened after the white line, happened after the COVID crash, whenever you picked up the pace a little bit in the second half of the bull market here, which is also whenever you pick the pace up on your overall market cap growth of USDT. And you can see, again, USDT here growing until May of 2021. Bitcoin topped in April. On a closing basis, it topped in March, so you can't see that here, but if we look on a candlestick basis, Bitcoin topped in April. It topped in April. So 1 month later, that's whenever USDT stopped growing at such a fast pace. It didn't top there, but it's undeniable that it's doing things differently after this month of May than it had been for like the 13 months before then, right? So again, consolidating, not moving at such a rapid rate. We can see here in the current cycle, we don't have any white lines because we don't know, right, what the faster pace is going to be. We seem to be on par with everything we've done so far. So all we can do really is compare USDT to what we've been doing all cycle. We had a little bit of a rapid growth here in the initial phase, okay, but mainly boring. Smaller growth, but nothing, this growth as significant as it looks, and it did provide growth here with BTC, it's not, oops, sorry. It's not as significant as some of the growth you can see here, right? The comparison of like what we've done this whole cycle so far versus what we did at the end of the last cycle versus what we did at the end of the cycle before that versus what we did at the end of the cycle before that, you know what I mean? So here, yes, if we zoom in, it looks like these are more solid candles, but if we zoom out to where we can get the ass end of last cycle, you can see these are no nothing, who cares candles, right? But now, You already saw it before I even said, oh, now, right? Because you've got eyes and you can see. But now, compared to all these candles, isn't it funny? We are doing some bigger growth with USDT, guys. We're seeing it right now. And I don't know about you guys, but if you watch the video like I did for the past like 10 minutes or 20 minutes that I've been talking, it's when we start getting these bigger candles that we see that finale phase begin. And let's just see for funsies, just for funsies, okay? We started here picking it up, maybe not because we had another neutral month, so maybe here. This is when we started picking it up. From there to the time we stopped, that was 14 months of growth. Again, this one stopped a month. It looks like 2 months based on this, but Bitcoin actually topped in April. It stopped a month afterwards. How could it stop a month afterwards if crypto stopped in April? It didn't. If you go back and you look at the average coin in 2021, the average crypto, altcoins included, well, altcoins are the average cryptos, they topped off in May. 1 month after Bitcoin topped off there, right? 14 months of rapid growth, okay, in the USDT. We go back to another cycle. Here, if I can get it right, let's see. I keep touching the Bitcoin one. I think that it's the USDT one, but I keep getting it messed up. Here, you saw rapid growth starting here, and it really didn't stop until here. That was 12 months. So 14 months, 12 months, that's nice, right? That's kind of congruent, kind of similar. So going off of those 2 iterations, the only 2 that we have, assuming, and I think it's a safe assumption, that this would be the ignition, the start of that faster pace that we've compared throughout this whole video here. If we do 12 to 14 months, well, 12 to 14 months would mean that Bitcoin's cycle, or maybe not Bitcoin's cycle, crypto's cycle could end in November, which would imply Bitcoin tops in October, which I've made plenty of videos suggesting that for the last 2 years now, right? That's not anything new. To potentially 14 months, which would put the crypto cycle at the end of, or the very beginning of 2026 in January, and the Bitcoin cycle being at the end of December or something like that, right? Of 2025 this year. So anything and everything by the end of the year would make sense based off of this metric alone. I've made the points. I've said everything that I need to say. I hope the dots clicked. I hope you liked this kind of ugly, not really like beneficial chart for any other reason than the scope that we looked at right now, right? Like it's not really an anything chart, but I was looking at this chart and I'm like, what does this say? Because the money supply matters in any market, right? And whenever it comes to the money supply, the USDT, US dollar tether, it's a pretty big factor in the crypto ecosystem. So I was like, looking at this and I'm like, it only grows. There's not really much to gain from projecting out how much it grows, but maybe there's something to gain in looking at how it grows. And I hope that you've gained something out of that or seen what I've seen, and at least it makes sense to you. Maybe I'm crazy, but it's a hell of a coincidence, right? It makes sense that while the crypto market's growing, while we see the bull cycle continuing to seeing its finale phase, it makes sense more money would come into the markets, therefore more USDTs would be printed and minted and circulating, right? So that's all that this whole video has said, essentially. So it's just very obvious stuff that we have put into physical form in the charts. Everything that I've said, it's like stuff that shouldn't be too eye-opening. It really shouldn't be like, oh my God, this is crazy. It should be very obvious stuff, but it's just another perspective still that you can apply physically and you can see with your own eyes. And it adds that little, I would say, layer of comfort, at least to me, that we're like, literally, that's what this means, guys. I don't know about you, but that looks bigger than anything else we've seen. We're getting started, just like we did last time, just like we did the time before. We're getting started with this finale phase. And if it was like either of the last 2 times, it means that we're only 2 months into it. We have like a whole year left of finale phase to go. So cool. Hit that like button, subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye.